Hi, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Chat On with GYC Vegas, recorded and produced at the Video Podcast Studio. I'm your host, Gina Yager, founder and director of GYC Vegas, an award-winning PR and marketing agency. We believe every company has a story to tell, and we're passionate about getting businesses recognized. At Get Your Chat On, we sit down with local professionals to get to know a little about their organization, their role, and their perspective on our vibrant business community here in Southern Nevada. Today, we have our very first two-time guest, a Henderson native who has spent over 30 years serving this community through the law. Gary Thompson is a Henderson attorney, managing partner of the law offices of Gary Thompson on Water Street, and a candidate for Henderson Municipal Court Judge, Department 1. A basic high school alum, UNLV graduate, and University of San Diego Law School graduate. Gary has built his career around criminal defense, personal injury, and community service, including serving as judge pro tem in both Las Vegas and Henderson and supporting the Veterans Treatment Court. Hi, Gary. Welcome to the show again.
Hi.
That's the first time I've gotten to say that.
Two times. Okay. Well, I'm honored, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being on. I want to give you this platform to talk about why you're running and ask you some key questions about so people can get to know you.
Sure.
You know, we've talked a lot about how judges are one of those categories that are often ignored on a ballot. And so this is your time to speak in long form about why it matters and why choosing the right judge. So you've called Henderson home since 1967. You grew up here. You went to basic. You built your career here. What does the city mean to you, and how has that shaped who you are?
Boy, the city for me is home. It was home. It was such a great experience growing up in Henderson. I always considered, even when I was just getting out of high school, that I thought about the experience that I had in what felt like a very small town, which at then was a very small town. That's what I wanted to have my family when I had kids. I wanted to raise them up in this community. And so I've always been really attached to the community. I got to see behind the scenes a little bit because my dad worked for the police department. And so I usually got the news of the worst, or I've been on occasion, I've been in the car when he had to respond to some scenes that were urgent and emergent in the morning. But overall, it was just such a wonderful experience. I really have never wanted to live somewhere else. Yeah.
That's amazing. Why you're running, let's talk about that. So after 30 years in the legal field, what decided to make you, realize that now is the time to run for Henderson Municipal Court Judge?
Sure. It didn't happen overnight. And it was one of the police officers that my dad worked with in his career was Judge Proctor. And Judge Proctor was a police officer. He never went to law school, and he was one of those grandfathered in that became a judge, a municipal court judge. There was another police officer, Judge Van Linschoot, in North Las Vegas that was also a very good municipal court judge. And the police officers, I thought, made pretty good muni court judges because they really experienced, they knew the town very well, they knew the law very well on the enforcement side. And overall, he made a good judge. And when I came out of law school, I sat down with Judge Proctor, and I was very much watched him, what he was doing. And over time, I was like, you know what, this is something I would like your job. And this was 20 years ago. And so really, since 2006, this is what I've been considering, is serving as a municipal court judge. Department 1, which is his department. Judge Stevens took over for Judge Proctor in 2007 and served two and change terms. And so really, as it comes along, this is an opportunity for me to run for the seat, really, that I've been looking at for 20 years.
Wow. So municipal court is often someone's very first experience with the judicial system. How do you believe people should feel when they walk out of your courtroom?
Sure. They can feel a lot of fear of the unknown because they haven't been there. And the only reason they're there, most likely, is that they've crossed a line, and it's a misdemeanor line, so they haven't committed a felony. So maybe they have a speeding ticket. Maybe they have a noise violation. Maybe they didn't register their dog you know. And they could be more serious things. They could have received a DUI, and maybe that's the first time they've ever, again, been in a courtroom, or they've either been a victim of or charged with domestic battery first time. And so, you know, all of those, you know, scale from, you know, a 10-mile-an-hour speeding ticket to a DUI. And so their first appearance in this, everyone should feel that they were treated fairly. And, you know, that they may not like the result. They certainly probably have no preconception of what it should be like. Maybe they watch Law and Order and think that that's how a courtroom runs, and you're like, yeah, it's made for television. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, they should be treated with respect. They should have a sense that they were treated fairly, that they got to say their piece, whatever that is, you know. And I think as long as you do that, even if you don't tell them what they want to hear, if they're treated with respect, you're prepared, and you've been treated fairly, they'll typically go out with, okay, well, these are the consequences to my actions. Yeah.
We're going to have to cut really quick. I just noticed that his mic is not close to his face. You heard him okay? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Just keep it, right there. It's perfect.
All
All
right.
right. I'll start with the next one. Let's talk about what fairness really means. So a lot of people worry that judges bring their personal beliefs or their opinions to the courtroom. How do you ensure that the law, not personal bias, leads every decision that you make?
Sure. As an attorney, and over the time, you know, that you practice, whether you're on a defense side, which I've been on most of my career, or I come from a wide-ranging background. I did family law. I've done bankruptcy. I've done complex construction defect cases. I've been in federal court trials, district court trials, justice court trials, muni court trials. I've been throughout the state. We just did a 2-week jury trial in Minden last year. And so all of those experiences form kind of, you know, who you are and how you've experienced the law. And it's different once you're sitting on the bench. It was something I started pro temping in Las Vegas Municipal Court, I want to say 2010 and 2011. And it really is, you got to take off that advocate hat that you're used to. That's what your experience has been. And put on a different hat. You're putting on the judge. You got to look at it from both sides. And I know, you know, sometimes the prosecutors bring in a heavy-handed prosecutorial bias, and the defense attorneys the same way. They will come in with that bias. And it's been now 12 years that I've been able to sit as a pro tem judge, and I can set that bias aside and really put on the hat of, you know, this is I'm not looking at this from my experience. I'm looking at it from the experience as a judge. And so, you know, set aside my advocate side and really put on the judge side, looking at both sides. Have they committed the crime that they've been charged with? Am I prepared with the case that's in front of me? And treat them fairly from there.
So be digging a little bit deeper on that, you know, every court decision doesn't affect just the person standing in front of you, right? It's a ripple effect. It affects their family. It affects their job, their home. How do you feel a judge should weigh that impact when they're applying the law?
That's a tough balance because if you really have to look at each case individually. And there are going to be times when the consequences are severe. So you know that if today I enforce this order, you know, this penalty that they have, that they're probably going to lose their job, you know, because they're not going to be able to show up. And they'll tell you, you know, look, I took today off, but if I miss tomorrow, they're going to fire me. And sometimes that's a hard consequence of what they've done. If you're looking at it like, okay, they have a nonviolent crime, you know, they have a registration ticket, a driver's license ticket, something that might be expensive, $600 to $1,000, and they failed to make payments. And they've even fixed the issue, but they haven't made their payments. And they're working part-time, they have a job here, then they don't have a job, but now they have a job and they can make payments. And they've failed you a couple times, you know. I usually look at what's the most important thing for the city is not putting people in jail and costing the city money, because they're going to get credit for time served. You're not going to collect the fine that they owe. They're going to lose their job. And so you're going to put them in a vulnerable position that they may commit another crime. And so you really have to weigh that out. If you know they're not a threat to the community, and you know they just haven't made a payment, then you probably give them another chance to make a payment, especially if they're working. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I usually, on those, I warn them. I said, look, this is your last chance. We're going to let you out today. You haven't paid a couple of times. If you come back in here and you haven't paid, then the only option you're going to have is pay it in full, have somebody come in and pay the fine, or serve your time, and you get $150 a day credit. And just understand that this is your last chance. Before that happens, if you can't make a payment, check into court, ask me for more time, but do something proactively. What I tell all defendants, I go, personal responsibility goes a long way in my courtroom. Mm-hmm. But doing nothing is a short end of their story.
Mm-hmm. It seems fair.
So that's what I try to
fair.
be.
Exactly.
That's what I try to be.
Pro tem experience. So you've served as a judge pro tem in both Vegas and Henderson.
Yes.
What do these experiences teach you about, what makes a courtroom run well and what doesn't?
Sure. Number one is preparation. I make sure whenever I'm going to sit on the bench that I come in early and I review all the cases and materials that I have available to me. So if I'm looking at cases where they haven't completed whatever court-ordered conditions that they were put under, then I'm looking at all the backup. They didn't report for a drug test. They came up positive with a drug test. They didn't stay out of trouble. They got another arrest, and here's all the documentation on that arrest. And so I look at each one, making sure that I'm prepared. I make sure that I'm on time. There are times when court is delayed because you can't get all the in custodies in line. But it's not going to be delayed because of me. So what I want to do is make sure I'm prepared, make sure the court runs on time and efficiently. Mm-hmm. That's not running through people, and just running over them. It's getting the job done, but efficiently getting the job done. Mm-hmm. And I find that that's been really important.
For Veterans Treatment Court, you talked a lot about being a part of that. What does that program mean to you personally?
Personally, my grandfathers both served in the Navy, and my dad served in the Army. And so I look at their service, and I look at my dad's service to the community as a police officer, and I look what I have a lot of respect for our veterans. They put their life on the line so that we can enjoy all the things that we do in this country. Mm-hmm. And so Veterans Treatment Court, I think they've paid a debt to our country. They've taken a shot, and they have unique problems when they come back, whether it's a mental health and a post-traumatic stress, mm-hmm. whether they have an addiction to a lingering injury. And so if they've become addicted to drugs, alcohol, if they have a mental illness, and a lot of times they just suffer in silence, and they'll end up crossing the line and breaking a law, perhaps a domestic battery, perhaps a DUI. I think I think they've earned a chance to get through that. Now, Veterans Treatment Court is not easy. It's very structured. It is a structure that most of them are used to in the military, and you give them this structure. They have to get through a lot of. There's a lot of requirements on them to do this. It's very structured, and if they don't, they have a full sentence hanging over their head.
Does every veteran that is in this situation or has a charge against them get this opportunity to be in veterans?
Do.
Okay.
Yeah, they get a chance. Again, there are qualifications. There's a laundry list of them. But given the chance, they're interviewed. They're explained the whole program, and then there's a vetting process when you put them into the program. The judge runs through all the requirements, and do they clearly understand what they're getting themselves into? And there's been I've put a lot of guys into the program, and gone through all those questions. There's a couple that when we're actually putting it on the record, they're like, I don't think I want to do this program, and they'll just face the consequences.
Wow.
Like a regular, because it's tough. It's a year-long program at a minimum, and if you have any slip-ups along the way, it just continues your graduation down the road.
Okay.
Until you complete all the requirements.
So they might not be confident that they can stick to the program.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about something fun. High school leadership.
Let me add one more thing about Veterans Treatment Court. The beauty of Veterans Treatment Court is when they do get through the program and they graduate, they have a single-digit recidivism rate, which is just unbelievable. Compared to the general public, we see those people over and over and over. But when the veterans get through this program, it's, I want to say 7%, maybe 5 to 7% actually will be in trouble and come back to our court.
And come back again.
Otherwise, they're just advocates for the program. They support the veterans that are in there. They'll come back and volunteer. They'll come back for graduations and just support the veterans that are in there.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
High school leadership.
Yes.
You also facilitate this program. Henderson Leadership or
Leadership Henderson? Yeah.
High School Leadership Henderson.
Yeah.
For high school juniors. And it's for, even though it says Henderson in it, it's for kids across the valley. It's shaping the next community, the leaders of our community, the future leaders of our community. What drew you to that? And, what do you hope these students take away from the awesome retreat experience that they go through?
So high school leadership, now we dropped off the Henderson part, but it was originally a 2008 Leadership Henderson Community Project. And so they developed this program. And it started at basic high school. I think we had 20 students go through the program the first year it was put in place. And then we've done, retreats. Now we're doing 2 retreats a year. For a while, it was just 1 retreat. And so where I got introduced to it is that the class of 2008 was still very active when I went through Leadership Henderson in 2013. And I was asked to be a small group facilitator. The first year, I couldn't do it because our class project was on the same weekend as the high school leadership retreat. And so it was it was tough for us because we didn't get the support of all our 2008 graduates that were doing the high school leadership thing. And a bunch of us that wanted to do that program couldn't because we were doing our own program.
Yeah, right.
So we missed the first year, but the next year, 3 of us from 2013 did the retreat in 2014. And we were all really hooked into a great program. We ended up having at least 10 of our graduates from 2013 participate in either as a small group facilitators or sit on the board or volunteer to raise money for the program. And every year since then, we've added somebody from the graduating class. So every year we've had a 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18 graduate come in and be a small group facilitator or volunteer to raise money, but they have some experience in the high school leadership program. And man, what I love to see the graduates, when they come in, our teenagers now are very addicted to the phone. When you put them on the bus, they're all looking at their phone, they're text messaging, they're on social media. When you bring them home, they're all talking to each other. And what they find out is a little bit about who they are, and what they realize in the end, that there's a lot of opportunity for them to accomplish in the world.
Yeah, talk about a little bit more about what the experience is for like, and who can participate in that.
Sure. So it's designed for high school juniors. We have depending on the maturity level, we've had a couple of high school sophomores. And we opened it up. We got snowed out one year. We were up at Camp Lee, and we got a picture from the camp manager up there where the snow was up to the eaves, and our retreat was the next weekend. And he goes, "It's not going away. You can't come." Uh-huh. And so we had to cancel that retreat. And so we had, 30, I think we had about 35 high school juniors ready to go. I had a whole staff trained and ready to go. I had our facilitator flying in from South Korea ready to go, and we had to cancel it. So we took those students that were already approved, and we gave them we ran a retreat. This was in the spring of, I think, 2019. We gave them a chance in the fall, in September, and we ran a retreat in September. And we just invited them all. Most of them were now high school seniors, but starting their senior year. So it really fit into their program pretty well. And so we have some high school seniors, mostly high school juniors, and it really kind of opens the door for what they can accomplish, who they are, and what they can do in the world. And it gives them a year in school to kind of set themselves up for whatever, they realize that is their dream. Is that going to college? It could be. Is it joining the military? It could be. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be, it's not like a cookie cutter thing. It has to be right for them.
Who do you think is a good candidate for high school leadership?
Any high school junior in Southern Nevada. I ultimately, I would love to see that we would reach every high school junior in Southern Nevada and give them the opportunity to go through the program. Yeah. And it's well, you did a small group.
I did.
Yeah.
What's the capacity for high school leadership? I know in most years it's somewhere in the 30s, but if every high school junior in Clark County wanted to do it, I mean, what would be the maximum? Where would we cut it off?
Right now we did, since 2008, it was one retreat a year. We kind of maxed out at about 30 to 36 students. And so it's relatively limited, we don't have all the kids don't pay anything. And so all the money that supports the program is money that we raise throughout the year. And we do different fundraisers. Some of the parents of the kids that come back, they donate to the program. We've had some nice sponsors from Dollar Loan Center, Nevada State Bank, that have consistently contributed to the program. And then we've done some really good fundraisers. But the kids don't pay anything. And I would love to see it. We would have to we would have to have a retreat like a Camp Lee or a Potosi Pines and be dedicated. I would expand to not just Henderson, but Las Vegas, their leadership through their chamber and start, we need a couple of facilitators, a place, and a bunch of volunteers. We could get to a lot of kids. Yeah. But right now, we're probably limited to 50 to 70 kids a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And people can look into that by, what's the website again?
highschoolleadership.com.
There we go.
It's a tough one.
Go. Yep. And there'll be one in the fall coming up in September.
Yes.
Or actually, there's one coming up this April.
Yeah, we're April 17, 18, and 19th. We have applications open. We did extend it. We have received a good amount of applications, but we're also looking for the kids that are interested in this because our fall retreat comes so close to when they start school that we don't have a lot of time to recruit them for that retreat, for them to find the time. Right. So what I'd like to do is get the interest of the kids now in the spring and then circle back around with them in the summer and say, okay, our dates are set. You were interested in the spring. Here's our fall date. Are you still interested? And have a pool of kids that are ready to go in September and then just fill it with however we need to fill it with. Okay. Yeah.
You came from a family of service. Your grandfather served in the military in Pearl Harbor. Your dad was a police officer here in Henderson for nearly 30 years. How has that legacy influenced the way you approach your career and to this campaign too?
Yeah. So it's the culture that I grew up in. And my mom too. She worked for the post office, but she was also like the Easter bunny on the street. She would, or Christmas presents. She would buy Christmas presents or do Easter baskets for all the kids on the street, and she would just leave it at the door and basically knock on the door and run. And so just looking at her participation, she knew all of her, when she was delivering mail, she knew everyone and everyone knew her. My dad, serving in the police department, we were a small town. When 67, there was probably under 20,000 people in the community. I remember when I was probably 10, 11, 12, our full shift for the entire city on, let's say, Friday night swing shift was 3 officers and a sergeant. So if there was a crash at Boulder Highway and Lake Mead and you saw 3 cars there and a sergeant, that was everyone.
And that was the big intersection in town at the time, right? That was like that was like Eastern and St. Rose.
Yes. And so, I've been in the police station, walking home from Gordon McCaw, and I would just do my homework at the police station, my dad's office. He's out and about. And I remember the bank alarm where Biscuits and Bourbon is on. Okay, yeah. Someone hit the silent alarm. Everyone left the police station. It was just the chief of police was out the door. It was like, here we go. But we were a really small town. But I've seen that. I am so connected to this community. I love the Leadership Henderson program. I've been appointed to and participated in government with Mayor Hafen appointed me to the Community Development Block Grant Committee. We were in charge of vetting and allocating the money, HUD funding that came into town. It was usually $1 million to $2 million a year. And took that very seriously, served under Hafen. I was reappointed by by Mayor March, and then reappointed by Mayor Romero. And until they disbanded that committee, I served on it from probably 13 years over all those careers. And so just being involved with the community, I just always look at giving back. I really am involved with the Bauer Fund now, which was it spawned from the Bauer School-Based Health Center. Dr. Bauer and his wife started a school-based health center in the parking lot of Basic High School, and with the idea that if kids had access to health care, that they could stay in school and do better than if they had to be sent home or miss days or not have any access. And so once I got involved with that program and Leadership Henderson class of 2012, that was their class project. And so there was opportunities to expand that program with another event, a golf tournament in 2014. And the class of 2012, with a little help from me and some other classmates, took over that project in 2014, and we've been doing the golf tournament ever since. In the interim, kind of COVID and healthcare and how everything has gone, the school-based health center closed, and the nonprofit, the hospital that was supporting that decided that that's not what they're going to do anymore. But the Bauer Fund stayed around, and so we still do fundraising with the Bauer Golf Tournament. Now, Dr. Bauer's grandchildren and children run the program, and we created a foundation. They take applications for grants, and they really support children-based essential needs, healthcare, food, education programs. And so now they take applications. So serving our kids as a grant applicant and recipient, Gigi's Playhouse, Project 150. And so each year we probably now grant out between $50,000 and $70,000. And it's just really nice, again, being involved in the community.
Yeah, and seeing where that money goes too, to these amazing programs.
And so it's just what I'm used to. It's what I grew up in, and it's a culture that I continue. And now with the opportunity to serve the city as a judge, I'm really looking forward to that.
Speaking of that,
yes.
What does day one? What does a successful first term actually look like for you, for municipal court judge?
For me, it's people walking away. Whether it's someone that's been in the courtroom and experienced that, whether it's a defense attorney or a prosecutor or staff. What I would hope that they all feel that I'm dedicated to that job, that I am consistent with how I approach it, that I treat people fairly with respect. And if that is now the expectation after my first year or first term, and people know what they're going to get, and even though they might not get all the results that they want, but they've been treated fairly and consistently, and they know that I'm going to be respectful and prepared, if they know that, I'm good.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
let's talk about when people can vote.
Yeah,
So we've got primaries coming up in June.
we do. Early voting starts May 23rd or 25th. It's really early. Ballots drop 2 weeks before that, so they're being mailed out May 9th. So today is the last day for non-judicial filing. And so today we have 1 week that people can withdraw. And after that week, kind of the slate's been set, and they're going to print ballots.
How many people are going to be on the ballot next to you?
I have two opponents. I have the appointed current sitting judge. She was appointed when Judge Stevens retired, and
who did not get elected to that
No.
role. She was appointed.
She's been appointed. And then there's another attorney. She's relatively new in her career. She's been licensed for 7 years. She's actually been appointed as a hearing master in district court for mental health. Very passionate about that. She does a great job. I keep telling her they need to keep her right there because she does a great job. But she does have, she lives in Henderson, and she's also very community service oriented. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to shift gears.
Sure.
Actually, no. We're going to ask one more question.
One more
Sorry.
question. All right.
Okay. What do you want voters to know? What do you want people to remember? One thing about Gary Thompson after this conversation.
Know that I am connected to this community, care about this community. I really care about doing a great job. And so that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what they're going to get when I'm elected.
When they vote. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to shift gears.
Okay, here we go.
Doing business in Vegas, Mad Lib style. So you've been an attorney for 30 years. I know you network a lot. I see you out and about at events.
Yep.
Favorite thing about Henderson that most people overlook is?
I think, so I've always been connected to the different parades downtown Water Street. And so it's changed over time. It used to be the center focus, and now the town has grown between Green Valley and then Anthem and now West Henderson, Cadence. We've really spread out. But Water Street has always had an opportunity, whether it's, which is tomorrow, our St. Patrick's Day Parade, car show, carnival. It's a lot to do in a very rejuvenated Water Street. It's really kind of cool.
Yeah, where it all started, right?
Yeah, and then Henderson Industrial Days Parade we were reminiscing as we were designing the float, because I'm going to be in the parade tomorrow. All the different parades that we've participated in over the years, whether we've been with the Boy Scouts or in high school something, it's always, we all have different experiences. And so I think all the festivities on Water Street might be overlooked just because it's the old part of Henderson, and maybe you're not even connected. You're like, I don't live in Henderson. I live in Green Valley. It's like, no, you live in Henderson. So yeah, Winterfest, St. Patrick's Day, Industrial Days. There's a lot of things to do. It's pretty cool.
Another question about Henderson. Best way to unwind after a long day of campaigning in Henderson is to indulge in some what to recharge for the next day?
There is a wide range of live entertainment, whether you're on Water Street or you're at Green Valley Ranch or any of our hotel casinos. A lot of our little bars, local bars, have local entertainment, and it's there's a lot now.
There's a lot to do.
More than you can imagine. So,
okay, so you like doing that?
Yes.
All right, one more fun little section. So personal lightning round of questions.
All right.
If you could teleport anywhere in the world right now, where would you go and why?
Oh man, I have this. I've always wanted to go to Australia and New Zealand, and my in-laws are on a 2-week cruise in Australia and New Zealand. So
so you're
getting
so
pictures,
jealous, right?
I am.
Yeah.
But if I could just go, that's where I would go. Yeah,
Me
right
too.
now.
Yeah, my mom does the same thing. She takes these long cruises to all these exotic places with my stepdad, And we get to see all their videos and photos and just hope that we get to do the same thing one day. If you could have a superpower, what would it be and how would you use it?
I would want to fly.
Yeah.
It would be nice to avoid all the traffic.
Of course.
And just fly there. And the view would be spectacular.
Right.
Yeah.
Last
I like all
one.
the drone footage. That's neat stuff.
I've asked you this before since the last time you came
All right.
on, but you maybe you've done something more adventurous since then. But what was the most adventurous thing you've ever done? And would you do it again?
Most adventurous thing. What was special to me, it was important for me to get back to Pearl Harbor. I grew up, my grandfather had so many stories of the day that they were attacked and his survival story. His battleship is still there. It's the Utah. They didn't salvage it. It was a World War I battleship.
Wow.
It was not worth saving, really. But there's a little memorial, but there's no public, on December 7th, they'll have a memorial there to the guys that were on there. It was a limited crew. And so there isn't a tour that you can go see the Utah. And so it was important for me to get there. And so in May of 2023, we had a trip to Hawaii. We got to Pearl Harbor. We hiked across the island, perhaps not under their with permission, and we got to the Utah Memorial. And I got to stand. I got to see what he saw.
Yeah.
And I got to remember the stories that he told. It was just really important to me to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It has been such a pleasure having you on today to talk about your campaign and talk about the future of your career here in Henderson, which should go the way that you want it to. And we hope that we're all going to be voting for Gary, and we hope you do too. And tell people how they can follow what you're doing, follow the campaign.
Sure. We have a website, electgarythompson.com, and then social media, which you do a lot, Gina, on that.
Yes.
And so Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. It's hard not to find
Gary
me.
Thompson is the handle.
Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so that has my events. It has a good gallery of pictures and stuff that we've done. Mm-hmm. We have a fundraiser coming up April 8th at the Angry Crab Shack on Green Valley Parkway in Sunset.
Okay. I will see you there.
Okay. Fantastic.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Be sure to follow us at GYC Vegas on Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn, and subscribe to our channel wherever you stream podcasts. And if you want to learn more about how your business can enhance its marketing efforts through the power of PR, visit our website at gycvegas.com. Thanks for listening to Get Your Chat On with GYC Vegas, and we'll see you next time.